today. And this indeed experienced an adept exemplar in our midst today. And I'm sure that we will all procure a great deal from Ms. Mehta's experiences in life, aspiring us to move towards our goals, moreover giving us a chance to reflect on the various ways we can contribute to society. Thank you.
So yeah.
That's where we start, with completely unconventional way of doing, with the mic not working. It's called being technology challenged. All I had to do was switch on the button here. Okay. For me, education and to get into this and standing here is a big opportunity, because I basically think that I came from a place where I was just a housewife. Now most of us, most of the girls here will get educated, will go out, and big dream is to become someone, but also a big dream is to be a good mom, to be a good housewife, to be a good interpersonal relationships. And very interesting, I really did think many years back that I could stand here and be here and say anything on these lines. So let's just look at what I'm talking about. Did you know that the babies, when they are born, they smile more than 200 times a day? Not just smile, but they laugh. And do you know the maximum learning happens at that time? Have you forgotten how to smile and laugh? Is it possible? Let's go to the next slide. And as adults, we only smile 20 times a day, or even less. So is it possible, just like before people over here were saying, that if we bring fun into the life, we might learn more? So maybe we need to look at this, that education and learning is directly connected with how much we can make it fun and how much we can laugh and actually enjoy. And when I'm talking about laugh, I'm not talking about laughter clubs here. I'm talking about genuine laughter. The child doesn't have to do anything, he just smiles. And the maximum amount of development, mental development, physical development, emotional development happens during the first 6 years of the child's life. So maybe we need to start understanding that we need to get more fun into our education. The next slide, please. And I definitely do agree with the four gentlemen who've been speaking such beautiful stuff and saying that education cannot be one way. When I became a mom, that's when I learned to be a mom, not before that. I can read books, but really they did not educate me. The education came directly from how I managed Arjun and Divya. They were my direct teachers. Similarly, because I deliver workshops, at the same time, I will try to give my very best and try to understand before giving it to another person. So for us, we need to understand what are the fears that we are born with. We are born with two different fears. One is the fear of noise, which means each one of us, right from the time that we are born, we're scared of loud noises. Very, very scared. And which means the tonality becomes extremely important. How people talk to you. What is the tone that they're using with you? Are they screaming at you? Are they being gentle with you? Are they being soft with you? Be very receptive to the sounds. Similarly, we have another fear that we are born with, and that's called the fear of falling. And if we were to look at the big world that we are living in right now, the fear of falling can be metaphorically taken into, oh, I have such a big organizations which are falling right now and calling a meltdown from 2008 onwards. The whole world is melting down, hasn't stopped melting down. So it's what is it? We're just creating fear on fear and saying, I'm going to fall like a pack of cards. I don't have a job tomorrow. Something is going to happen. So all our ambition to move further is to kind of deal with that fear. And that's how we are born. In fact, in our brain, most of the frontal part of the brain is connected with fear. Most of the back part of your brain is connected with fear. So the first thing that we need to look, and if you look at the word fear, it's got fear in it. It's all about what we hear. So all our fears are connected with what we hear, okay? Let's go to the next one. So let's understand how we as babies learn. If we can understand how we learn and how as children, how did we learn in that first 6 years of our life where there was nobody teaching us? No formal education, no school. The first touch that's most important is the skin. The children love to be touched. I'm sure all of you love to be touched. Just skin is so beautiful. We love to be cuddled. How many of you haven't even given a hug to someone else? Or congratulated someone, hey, you're here. Just that touch, just that lovely touch. And what's amazing, with this, we come to know whether the person is cold to us, whether the person is rejecting us. Just imagine I come down and say, I need a hug from you. And you go, no, what is that? It could be either your cultural background that we're coming from, that I'm shy to even touch you, which means there's a huge rejection around that. Or it could be somebody just coming and saying, yeah, that's fine, and giving you a real warm hug. And that could be all about me being accepted as the part of the whole story. So getting accepted is all from the touch of the skin. Next one, please.
Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. Rock-a-bye, baby, your cradle is full. Father's a king and mother's a queen. Sister's a lady and wears a gold ring. And brother's a drummer and plays for the king. Rock-a-bye, baby, way up on high. Never mind, baby, father is nigh. To the ceiling, down to the ground. Rock-a-bye, baby, uphill and down.
Did you hear the pace, the pitch, how the child learns? The mother is constantly singing, talking to the baby. Even when the baby is sleeping, in the most hypnotic stage. And we learn the best when we're actually hearing music, when we're actually hearing soothing stuff, because our heart responds to it. So that's the next sense that we really, really need to deal with. How are we talking to our children? Are we talking to them being aggressive? Are we talking to them with that same feel that we are hugging them? Are we talking to them with authority? Are we talking to them and saying, you're good for nothing? That really is all the learning that we're bringing in here. Let's go to the next one. Rocking is extremely important as a part of child's growing up. But why is the rocking movement, when I'm talking about rocking movement, it's this. You know, like really moving front and forth. What does this really movement mean? Can we go to the next slide, please? This is a baby inside the womb of the mom. So can you imagine the baby is inside, carried in the amniotic fluid, and the mom is moving? Mom is walking, doing everything. And the baby is actually rocking inside. The baby is comfortable. What do you do when the babies are born? You hold them and you rock them. What are you doing? You're giving them the same atmosphere that they had inside the mother's womb. And the learning is massive. What I'm trying to get here is, if we can get that safe environment, then children can really, does that mean that we have to rock? No, but just let's look. What's happening to the children who don't get this? What's happening to the children who are not touched? What's happening to the children who are not spoken to in a polite way? What's happening to children who then do not get this rocking, do not get this touch of the mom and she's rocking and holding the baby and moving up? Let's go to the movie and have a look at it. This is an autistic child. An autistic child is a child who cannot communicate. He cannot communicate with you. But look what he's doing. He's moving his body. And look what he'll do in the next few minutes. There we go. What is he doing? He's rocking himself. It's like he's singing a lullaby for himself. He's going up and down. This child is trying to create a safe environment for himself. This child is telling his mom, I'm missing you. Does it mean that the mom needs to carry him? It just means that probably during the pregnancy, that's one thing that was missing. And probably even when he was growing up, that's one thing that's missing. Communication that should have been built way back, right in the womb, is not there. We also learn from visuals. If you see right now, I'm bringing in a lot of visual for you, which means I see and associate what I see with what is in front of me. So this is how we teach children. Red, let me show the red color. Blue, that's a blue color. So we almost like constantly showing them, giving them an audio, making them feel of what it could be. You can go to the next one. Just move next one. We also learn from smell. I'm talking about all our senses. Have you ever eaten food without smelling it? Have you ever gone to a garbage and eaten it? How many of you go next to the garbage and eat it? And how many of you can smell cakes and say, ooh, mom's made that cake. I want to eat it. So you're learning constantly through your smell, and learning for a child, for him to eat food, is a very, very complex process for which he will then make use of the smell, the taste, the tactile touching it, and every bit of it. Next slide, please. And can you see this child trying to eat? That's how babies are, beautiful. So what's the child doing here? It's like literally going into the food. That's the feel of it. It's looking at the colors, so it's very colorful. It's also trying to put it all over, trying to get the coordination of the body. It's also trying to see what it's looking at, and the baby will not put it in the mouth if the thing does not smell good. Very interesting. And then it will taste. So your taste is the last thing that you will do. And all this along with it, you're thinking. The child is actually thinking all the while and learning. So even when you're looking at this slide and you're saying, that's not learning, really? For some people who are paralyzed, this may be a very, very big thing. For them to even put their hand out and eat is a very, very big thing. So we now understand that learning is through three different things. One is imitation. That is, I imitate my child. I imitate my parent. And very interestingly, when you have small children coming in, you ask them, how does mom and dad fight with each other? And they'll stand and tell you. Can you role play or see them playing with their dolls? They'll